Hello again, rivals. This is Xonia, and you are in the zone. This week, we're going to be taking a look at ELO again, and this time I'm going to be trying to give you some of my own commentary. Unfortunately, I already recorded this with commentary, but for some reason, the default on my screen recorder changed from my microphone to nothing. Okay, here we knew this was going to turn out well when we saw there at the top the Flash plugin crashed. Fantastic. I guess that was my signal that I should have gone and checked something again. Anyhow, so now I'm going to be giving you a commentary and an analysis, trying to go on top of what I did before. I'm only going to try this once because I was absolutely devastated. Devastated is one word, angry and swearing is another word, but I don't like to do that on my channel, so thankfully you don't have to worry about hearing any of the sounds I made. So when I logged in, I realized that I only had 3 minutes left, and so I thought, okay, well, why don't I go ahead and do a regular match? So here I was playing with my really bad Sakrohm missions deck. Looking at the opponent here, basically we can see I have Ludwig with my stop-op ability. I kind of want to stop Mulder, so I don't want to play Ludwig first against Geo, so he leads with Geo. I can pretty much lead with Cassiope, Dustin, or Murray. It doesn't matter who. You know, Ludwig is kind of tempting, but it's actually a really bad idea because he's going to be stuck with 2 damage anyway. I don't want to risk Murray yet because he's got that high 8 power, which is what I really need in order to keep up with Dorian. Dustin as well has the ability to do a little bit more damage. Cassiope I have here would give him a little bit extra damage, but he is my worst card. So I could really play Dustin or Cassiope. It doesn't really matter which. I go with Cassiope because he's just a bad card, and just in case he did nothing with Geo, then I can claim 3 damage. And thankfully, I was able to claim my 3 damage and get just a little bit more done on his mission. Again, I'm using these horrible cards because I'm trying to finish these missions. As you can see there, that put me at 56 out of 60, which was great. It means I can get him out of my deck as soon as possible. Absolutely horrible card. So it's my turn to play. I'm not really sure what's going to go next, but what I really want to do is I want to play Ludwig next. Even though he could still play Mulder, if I play Ludwig next, that will prevent him from getting a full usage out of Mulder, because if he beats me with Palak or Dorian, he's going to do some damage, which means Mulder's min of 4 is going to really bite him again. So, also, because all of our mins are 3, I can play Ludwig and force him to use at least one of those pills that he just built up, because he's got 1 more pill than me from Geo. My expectation here is that he's probably going to play Palak or Dorian. We'll see which. I'm hoping that he'll play Palak instead of Dorian. Dorian would be a very safe, easy 8, but he's probably worried about losing it. I was absolutely surprised that he decided to play Mulder. It didn't make any sense to me. It's only 1 damage. Yes, he's able to do this, and he's able to get a pill back, but still, only 1 damage. That gives me that 2 life gaps still. So as you can see now, I have 11, and my opponent has 9. Even though he has 1 more than me, Dorian can only do 7 damage. He leads with Palak. Now, I don't understand why he did this. He should have led with Dorian, because then I would have been forced to decide whether I wanted to try and counter with Murray or throw Dustin. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to play Murray, because Dorian can only do 9 damage total at best. So if I Fury with Murray, that's going to give me 7 damage. And with the 2 that I already have, that means that unless he went pretty much all in with Palak, I'm going to get a tie out of this, which is great because my opponent had way more stars than me. And as you can see, he bluffed with Palak because he wanted to make sure that he got Dorian in. And then I guarantee that he doesn't win. He only gets a tie against me now because Dorian can do 9 damage, but we've got a 9 life gap right now, and everything works out well. So if he had played Palak with 1 pill instead of Mulder, then I would have been in a lot more trouble because even though we would have been equal on pills, what I think he forgot is that the bonus on Dorian is 10, while Murray is only 8. He could have had equal pills to me and still beat my Murray with Dorian. So he should have played Palak with 1 pill, 1 additional pill, instead of playing with Mulder. Because then even if I did do something very strange, he could have sacked Mulder again after that. So great for me. Super happy for that tie. Couldn't be happier. As you can see at the top, it says next 59 minutes, so I couldn't get my other match in. I was just glad to get that one in. So here I'm going to switch my deck. I decided to use the same deck as last week. The deck was recommended it was recommended by one of my guildmates. I was really, really happy to take up the challenge of using his deck. It worked out quite well. I can't remember who recommended it now, actually. I'm really sorry, I forgot. Please forgive me, guildmate. I completely forgot which one of you is the one that mentioned it in the forums. Anyway, this is a look at the deck: Leopold, Lizzie, Lola, and Sprinter, with Alistair, Learbarda, Murray, and Oxo. I could go into why all of these choices are really good, but what we're looking at here is Berzerk is great because I've got Berzerk missions, and it has that extra damage that it can do, and since it's a half deck, that makes it okay, because it's not a full deck. So you can choose some of the best ones. Lizzie's 9 power is great. Oxo is an amazing 2-star card. Learbarda is great. My general goal is to kind of play Learbarda with very few pills, if I can, at the beginning, and try and get a lot of pills out of my opponent, because Learbarda is a very scary card. I could go more into how all this works, like I said just a second ago, but I'm not going to, because it really doesn't matter how they could work. What's more interesting is to see how they do work in actual play. So we're going to load up here, head into Urban Rivals, and I'm going to play my 5 ELO matches. Now, the reason that we want to play these 5 ELO matches is because that gives me access to 400 credits, yeah, I wish 400 credits, 400 Clints, and 2 credits. If you can have over 1,000 ELO at the end, so that means that I'm looking to get at least 2 wins and a tie. As you could see from the ELO that was just on there, I have not played any ELO for this week. I am at 1,000 right now, so let's get into it. Our first player here is Mr. Yellow. Level 96, so we know that he knows his stuff. He's got infinitely more stars than me. As you can see, he's got kind of a stacked deck, and he managed to draw all of his high-level cards. I mean, if you look at that, that's 16 stars. I mean, it's ridiculous. There's no way that I'm going to be able to beat that with my measly 12. He's got a 4-star lead on me. He leads with Gus, which is way more power than anything that I can counter with right now. I'm not able to lead with Learbarda, so I really don't want to play him because there's no reason for me to do that. It doesn't really give me any benefit because he's not going to play knowing specifically that I have played Learbarda. So kind of one of my best ideas here is that Crazy Carlo and Haro LD are both weak to attack manipulation because they're all-stars. It's going to make it hard. Sylvia as well. So ideally, I would like to keep Learbarda, Alistair, and Leopold. However, it's also nice to be able to do a lot of damage, and that's going to really help me with Crazy Carlo. So I want to have Leopold and Sprinter around later for that. So ultimately, I don't really want to play any of my huge cards right now. I really contemplated playing Sprinter, but he's probably played a lot with Gus. You know, he wants to lead big so that he can kind of sit back for a couple rounds with Gus. And so I don't want to try and get into a pill competition with him because he's just going to kill me. Because All-Stars will do quite well in any situation here. So while I really would like to take Sylvia LD, the biggest issue here is that Gus will do 7 damage, and 7 damage sets up both Crazy Carlo and Haro LD for a 2-hit KO. And so I need to make sure I avoid that. And so because the Berzerk will both work well against All-Stars later, and because I can still keep 2 of my attack manip, I'm going to throw Alistair. I'm going to throw just a few pills on it just to make sure that he played some. Really unfortunate. I wish I had played 1 more pill. It would have been really cool to take it, but, you know, ultimately it didn't matter at this point because, you know, that's the way that ELO goes. I only lost 5 life, but that means that he's no longer able to KO me straight out. He's going to at least have to Fury. So next I want to play Learbarda. And what I'm expecting here is that he's probably going to play a decent number of pills here. So one of the things that I want to do is I want to try and play just enough pills to beat whatever he counters with, but I don't want to play too many pills. Okay, so I really have to be sensitive about what I'm going to do here. Now, ultimately, what I did here is I went with 63, and the reason is because at this point, it pretty much looks like I'm in big trouble. It doesn't matter. So my best move here is to just kind of pray that the opponent really wants to go in with Crazy Carlo and try and two-hit KO me. Okay, the reason I assume Crazy Carlo is because Crazy Carlo is a perfect matchup against Lear Barda, so that if he does win, he'll only do 2 damage. He could throw Haro LD, but it's 1 less power, and it didn't make a lot of sense to me why you would want to throw Haro when you have Crazy Carlo if you're going to go for that KO. So I played just enough pills in order to block the Crazy Carlo all-in Fury. And here we will see our opponent, Mr. Yellow, in the end, decides not to play Sylvia LD, which would have been a very viable move. If I were in his position, I probably would have just thrown Sylvia LD off and said, you know, who needs her? She's my most useless card. Doesn't matter if he wins with Lear Barda, because Crazy Carlo and Haro LD are pretty much going to be able to just destroy either Leopold or Sprinter. Crazy Carlo against Sprinter is going to win. So there was no reason to throw Crazy Carlo or Haro LD. And for some reason, I think he assumed that I was going for the Haro LD block. And so he threw in 1 extra pill, I believe, to try and do the damage. But it worked out against him because I was assuming Crazy Carlo. So I played an extra pill hoping for Crazy Carlo or assuming Crazy Carlo. Now this puts us at equal pills. And at low pills, that's bad for All-Stars. So here we've got Sylvia LD, and now I have to just make sure that I beat Crazy Carlo. As long as I beat Crazy Carlo, that's the main thing here. If I let Sylvia LD win, it doesn't matter because that backlash is going to come back to kind of hit him a little harder. So he's got that -3 min 1. Now, when I was playing this, and it's too bad that you guys couldn't see this, I had completely forgotten that when Lear Barda won, I also have the heal 1 running in the background right now. I completely forgot that. So I was just assuming, okay, I'm going to be able to get a tie here. So I'm going to throw Sprinter because if I save all my pills, Leopold can definitely beat Crazy Carlo. I'll be able to do the 4 damage, take him down to 2. This is with the -2 op life min 2, also going to take me down to 2 life. We'll just tie, and that would be a great kind of end because he had so many more stars than me. And so here I am, and I go, okay, well, now I'm going to just beat his Crazy Carlo. And I look down, and I go, well, wait, why do I have 3 life? I forgot that I have heal in play. Oh, man. And I was just so sure that you guys were going to be laughing at me and being like, oh, man, Xonia, come on, you had this 1 because you have Lear Barda's heal going on in the background. And I had just completely forgotten it at the time. But I was so focused on the fact that I was going to be able to at least get a tie on this, and I was really excited because of being, you know, if you're 4 stars down in ELO and you're playing with 2 2-stars versus a guy with a 5-star and 2 4-stars, you're just kind of like praying that you don't get completely destroyed. And here I am able to actually win the match. Again, complete luck. This should not have happened. The correct play for me, I think, for Mr. Yellow would have been not to get impatient. Mr. Yellow should have just thrown off Sylvia LD on round 2 and then waited until I played Sprinter because I would have had to lead at some... I think I would have had to have lead next. No, he had the lead. But anyway, either one of his cards would have been able to take out Sprinter as long as we had the same number of pills, and that would have been just the end of that. He could have forced me to pill. I got really lucky on that one. That's basically the way that it works. Okay, so we go to our next match, and here we have Maximild, or Maximild, level 31 from Germany. Level 31 means he probably knows his stuff, but maybe he's not, you know, super amazing in his pill play. So I was a little hopeful here, but I have more stars than him. He's looking at, what, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11 stars, and I've got 13, so I've got a 2-star lead. To be honest, guys, actually, I hate having a star lead because it makes me feel like I have to win, and it makes me feel embarrassed when I lose. And so, anyway, so here we've got Salzburg and Sean East and Nelly and Sasha, and it's really hard to say here. Really, what I want to avoid is I want to avoid a big pill on Sean East. He could throw Nelly, he could throw off with Salzburg, he could go big in with Shawnee, so it's really hard to see kind of what he needs. Thankfully, Sasha's only got a +4 here, so I'm going, okay, this isn't too bad. I've got a Sprinter that doesn't have any bonus on him. So here I am, I go, okay, I wanna throw off. I said that I want to lead with Lear Barda to try and pull out those pills. Chances are, when he sees this, he's going to go with Nelly, because he wants to kind of counter my 6 damage with his 6 damage. And I only played one extra pill just in case he decided to play Salzburg, because if he plays Salzburg, then we're both at min 3 and I get nothing. But because I do 14 damage with 2 pills on Leobarda, that would mean that I have 4 and I would be able to beat his 0 pill old Salzburg. Also, playing one more would also maybe prevent Sean East from being able to beat me, even though Sean East, I'm just really hoping that he doesn't pill in too much with Sean East. Even if he does, that's okay. He does play Nelly, which is what I was expecting. The unfortunate thing is that he did not play as many pills on Nelly as I was hoping that he would, and so that was definitely unfortunate, because 3 pills is a nice lead, but I would have liked a little bit more than that. So now he has to lead next, so I'm thinking, okay, what do I want to do here? At this point in the match, actually, I completely forgot the fact that Alistair only does 1 damage, and that's a really important thing to remember here, because I didn't want to throw Alistair versus Sasha, because that seems like kind of a waste, right? You know, why would I want to do that? So what I was hoping here is that because Sasha is low, not a lot of damage, that he would be trying to maybe sneak in a win, but that he would only play a few pills, maybe 1 or 2 extra pills on Sasha. And so what I went for, I decided, okay, you've got this Sasha here. I want to be able to stop Sean East's big all-in. Alistair would be perfect for that. He could also stop Salzburg if I wanted to play him first. So I'm looking at Alistair and Murray and saying that's going to be a pretty good matchup against Salzburg and Sean East. And so my goal here is, okay, I'm gonna play with Sprinter, because I really think that Sprinter is going to do me the most good here. The 5 damage will put us at almost equal. He will have done 6 with Nelly. I will have done 5 with that. But then Murray will do well. Here I am thinking, okay, I'm going to play a whole bunch with Murray. No, yeah, there's no way. So I was calculating how many I needed to win with Murray. And so in order to beat Sean East, I was going to have 3 extra pills left. But I thought, maybe I don't need to play all 3 pills. And so for some reason, I have no idea why, I only played 2 extra pills on Sprinter, and what do you know? Sasha 3 pills just beat my Sprinter. So because of my misplay, because of my decision to not play that extra pill, now all I have is Alistair and Murray, and I have 8 life gap that I need to make up, which is possible if I Fury one of mine, but then he also has Salzburg, and that's the big issue that we have here. You know, the reason that I had saved these was so that if he plays Salzburg, I can play Alistair and kind of let Salzburg do 1 damage instead of taking off 2, and then have Murray beat Sean East, which I would have been able to do even if I had saved, if I had played 1 more pill. You know, I have no idea why I decided not to play that extra pill, but for some reason at the last minute, I just decided, I don't need that. So I thought, well, you know, whatever, just for giggles, you know, I would be able to beat Sean East with Murray. So if for some reason he, you know, plays Salzburg, then here I can do 3 damage with Alistair, and maybe I can still win both. You know, at this point the game was pretty much over though, so there's really, it's nothing but the kicking and the shouting at this point. No reason to think that I'm going to win this match, because there's just no way that I can do 10 damage unless I Fury both of my characters, and there's no way that I can Fury both of my characters, so it really doesn't mean anything right now. It was just unfortunate pill play on mine, the fact that he beat my Sprinter, the fact that I didn't play that extra pill like I should have, like I planned to. Just unfortunate with that. So he decided to go all in with Sean East, taking me down to 1 life, and that's the end of that. So yeah, I decided to just Fury Murray and have fun, you know, because why not? It's good for me anyway, because Murray's actually one of the cards that I'm also I was working on for my my missions, my Sakrohm missions deck. He's also in that one, so I do pick up one more win with him from that. So that was kind of a minor consolation prize. And then I was so excited because look, here we have Hobbs from my own guild. Here I am playing Jungo against Hobbs. Hi Hobbs, how are you? I was so excited to see you, except I was also not excited because here I am against Jungo and Rattle. Oh, thanks, Firefox, coming back to get me even in recording time. So here, look at we've got a really big issue here because even though I've got a star advantage here, just by a little bit, we've got 12. I've got 12 and he's got 11. So I've got a 1-star lead. I do have a 5-star card, but the problem is that this 5-star card is only going to be gaining 1 on Skopica. He's going to be tied with Rattle, and is going to be 1 down on Jean. So basically, even though Lizzie is a powerhouse card, absolutely no help in this battle. Lola as well. I'm looking at her and I'm going, she's got such low power. She's not going to be able to beat any of these guys. She's going to get absolutely murdered, so I can't count on her damage pretty much at all. Maybe her defeat will be useful, but he's got Jean. I do have Oxo, which I can use to counter Rattle, or maybe to block some of the life of Skopica, or even try to go up against Rodney if Rodney got thrown. So who do I play first? Because the problem is pretty much anyone I lead with, he can just counter with Jean. I can't throw Lola because he counters with Jean. I can't play Oxo. If I do play Oxo, then he can counter with anything he wants to, probably Jean, but it means that I won't be able to have him for Rattle, and what I really want to do here is prevent Rattle from getting that damage in. So instead, what I opt to do is play Leopold. It's really unfortunate here because I'm looking at Leopold and I'm going, okay, he's got -9 attack. That's great, but, you know, Rodney's got this attack +10. Usually I would only play 1 or 2 on Leopold, but I thought, okay, you know what, I'm going to play a couple more pills here because maybe Hobbs will not be expecting me to play so many pills on Leopold. Maybe he'll only be expecting 1 or 2, and so maybe he'll only play 3 pills on, say, Rodney or Jean. My real hope here was that I could draw out Jean. You know, that's kind of the card I want to get rid of. But of course, Hobbs is not going to so easily get rid of the one card that pretty much causes me all of the trouble that I can think of. And so here I'm just kind of hoping that I manage to throw a few, like 1 more pill than Rodney, because I don't want to commit too many more pills to Leopold because it's just not worth it. It's only 4 damage. I need to make sure that I still have enough to counter Rattle. I need to make sure that I don't give him an easy couple points of damage there. The one nice thing about Rattle, though, is that I can counter Rattle with Lola. The problem here, though, is that because I have more stars, I really don't get to choose any of the matchups except for round 2. Hobbs here goes for Rodney, and as you can see, he went for 29 attack. He perfectly called me, which was super frustrating. It was a really great play, Hobbs. It made sense for him. He's able to play a couple more pills on Rodney because Rodney is going to do that kind of 5 life gap. And so here I am sitting here going, okay, I'm down 5. I've got Lizzie, Lola, and Oxo, and he's got a bunch of cards with a lot of life gap. He's got 6 with Skopica. He's got 5 with Rattle, which is going to outdo pretty much all of my cards. This is really not looking good for me right now because I need to outdamage him. You know, that's the only way for me to win this, is to do more damage. And so I'm just thinking, okay, basically what this means now is I have to get Lizzie in. If I don't get Lizzie through, then I'm in big trouble. We are at equal pills. That means that I'm not going to be able to beat Rattle. There's no way I'm going to be able to beat Rattle. And he's going to get to choose who I go up against in rounds 3 and 4. And so ultimately, thinking this is what really led me to playing Lizzie on round 2. Because I knew that unless he played Rattle, Lizzie was pretty much going to have to be played this round if I wanted to be able to count on that 8 damage getting through. Because with that 8 damage getting through, then that means that I've got Lola and Oxo, and I don't have to worry about out-damaging him quite as much, because I will have a 3 damage gap. I just need to worry about kind of screwing up and missing the Fury. So he plays Jean here, and Jean, of course, means that I cannot play Lola. So it comes down to Oxo and Lizzie. And Hobbs later, as you'll see in a bit, we ended up talking after the match. I think he was trying to lure out Oxo, because he's thinking, there's no way I'm going to play Lizzie, there's no way I'm going to play Lola, because at least Lizzie is kind of tied, but I have to play Lizzie. If I don't play Lizzie now, I'm going to die to Rattle. So what I want to do is basically, you know, my best shot right now is to make it a 50-50. And because Jean is only 3 damage, I figure at best he play 4 pills on Jean. So I went ahead and I played 5 on Lizzie. He only played 3 on Jean. He said he thought about not doing that. If he'd have played 0 pills, it would have been a lot harder for me. I think he would have had me no matter what. But because he did this, now it's 6-8, and I have to lead. So now we're looking at Skopica and Rattle. It's not looking good, and I'm basically just like, you know what? People in ELO very rarely go all in on round 3. It's foolish. Nobody likes doing it. People always try to go for the slow win because that's the more elegant way to do it. And so I'm thinking here, he looks at Lola and he goes, I can beat Lola with Skopica, no problem. I can beat Lola with Rattle, no problem. But the issue is that if he goes all in, I'm not going to be able to get Oxo in. Oxo is going to be able to take down Skopica. Oxo is going to be able to beat whoever he goes against. And so by going all in with Lola, and because I played Lola fast, maybe Hobbs would think that I played low. And so here we see he plays Rattle, and oh man, so lucky. I managed to make it. I managed to tie him, and because I played first, that means that I won. And so all that's left now is he plays Skopica and I play Oxo, and Oxo's got his stop op ability. Hobbs congratulates me. Overall, it was a really, really good match. Send him a quick message as well. Overall, I think that was a very, very good match. Pretty much, he called everything that he needed to. He called the first round perfectly, and then I made a play on the second round, which was maybe a little more risky than I could have, and my third round was also risky. But because I lost that first match, and because his cards honestly were just better overall than what I had, and he had good counters to everything, I just kind of had to hope that I'd be able to kind of trick him into losing in the end. So next, game number 4, we have Vito, Bill, Dieter, and Shitane. Again, all of this SOB means that I'm not going to pretty much get any of my bonus, but because it's, Bill and Dieter and Shitane, there's not a whole lot of damage there. One of the things I need to look out for is I need to make sure that Shitane isn't played on round 1 in order to get that poison in. The longer she has to wait, the better. Also, there's a lot of SOA, which means that Lola's going to be a lot less useful. Because she's probably going to run into SOA, and Murray needs to get his as well. So what I really need to do is draw out one of those SOA cards, and the best way to do that is to play Oxo. And I'm hoping that by playing Oxo that I'm gonna hit Dieter, and Dieter's gonna have to do more than me. So ideally, what I want to do here is play 4 pills, because then Dieter probably play 3 or 4 pills. Which is what I'm expecting. I'm not really expecting him to play Vito, because then he has to play 2 more pills than me, and he's going to have to go in pretty far. So I'm not really expecting Vito at all. I'm hoping here that even if he plays Vito, that it's not going to be enough. But ultimately, as long as I pull out one of those SOA cards, that makes me in a much better position in order to utilize Lola and Murray, because I really want to be able to use both of their abilities, and with 2 cards on his side with SOA, I'm relatively certain at this point, since I led, that I am not going to be able to use at least one of them. So here, all we can do is wait. I think this is the part where I give lots of helpful commentary. Oh wait, there's nothing left to say at this point. Okay, so the opponent does play Vito and managed to call it perfectly. I was very surprised. I was definitely not expecting 6 pills on Vito on round 1, and so getting that 5 in is good for him. It's not really a big loss for me. I'm really glad that I pulled out that SOA. So now he has to lead. Which is very good for me. Now I have Lola, Lear, and Murray left, all of which have great powers. I'm going to get a chance to use at least 2 of them, or hopefully at least 2 of them. ultimately, I guess what I'm expecting from him is when he looks at this, he's probably not going to play Bill because Bill's going to get murdered. I'd expect him to play Shitane because otherwise that poison is going to become almost useless. One damage or 3 damage in the next couple rounds is not so good. Another problem that he has right now is that all of his cards are 6 power. If he looks, he's got 6 power on all of his cards, whereas I've got a 7 and an 8 power. And so when I look at this, I'm going, okay, we've got Dieter. I've got a power manipulation advantage. So when I look at this, I'm saying, okay, I really just need to beat Bill or Shitane and win with Lear Barda. So if you look at that, it's going to be 48 in order to, if he goes all in with Shitane or Lear Barda. And so if he goes with Bill or Shitane, so my Lear only needs 7 pills. So if we check here again, so as long as I can beat Bill or Shitane with Lear, I'm going to need 7 pills in order to do that, because 7 is going to be 49, which means that I can afford to play up to 3 pills with Murray, which is perfect, because 32 will mean that Dieter would have to play at least 6 pills in order to beat me, and he's definitely not going to play 6 pills on Dieter, and if he does, then I have this one anyway. So you could say here I win. I'm a little sad that I don't get Murray's bonus, but also for the mission I don't need Murray's ability. So I'm still down quite a bit, but when you notice it here, now that he has played Dieter, the other reason that was a really, really great play for me, and really bad on his part, is that now both of his SOA are gone, which means that I can guarantee that Lola's defeat plus 3 life is going to happen. Even if he somehow won the next round with Shitane, Lola would be able to defeat plus 3, basically nullify anything that she does. Even if he wins with Bill, he's going to be able to do 3, whatever he does. So all I have to do is win with Lear, and as soon as I win with Lear, it's over. The reason I want to play Lear before Lola is because then I get Lear's heal plus 1 bonus, which my daughter seems to be very unhappy about. She's like, no, Daddy, you should play Lola first. I like Lola better. And here we see that I get the added bonus of Lear, then wins. And Bill will beat my Lola, but I will get my 3 life back, and it is over. Tunnock realizes it's over, and so he leaves the battle. Again, I'm not a huge fan of people that leave battles, and you should just play to the end. Don't give up. Doesn't really do you any good to give up early, so don't do that. Okay, so at this point we are now 3-1, and Oderluda 91 is going to be our last match here. We've got a bunch of freaks and Dave with no bonus, thankfully, versus a lot of Sakrohm and Leopold. Ultimately, what I need to look out for is obviously the win with poison on round 1. Win with poison on round 1 is going to really put me in a bad situation, put me in a bad place. I'd really like to see some matchups like Oxo versus Dave. I'd really like to see some kind of matchup. Maybe I guess Murray is the best one against Matryoshka. Arturo is going to be an issue later on, obviously, so I could probably use Oxo against Arturo as well, but then Dave would be able to get through with 3. So ultimately, I really got to look out for Leona right now. So Leona's on her -10 attack. She's a 7-5. This is problematic because I'd really like to lead with Lear. Lear would be ideal, but because she has -10 attack and Lear is only -8, that means that I'm going to have to play at least 1 more pill than Leona in order to win. But I think still, despite that, I am willing to bet that probably, normally in ELO, people do not go half in with their pills. Most people start with maybe 4 or 5, and if they want to play a lot, they'll play 6 pills. So I'm willing to take that chance. I'd really like to try and beat Leona. If I can stop Leona and get off Lear's heal, that puts me in an absolutely amazing place. But because Lear is down by that, I think it's a lot safer to play Murray. So I'm going to go ahead and go in 7 pills, because then that means that if she does go in with Leona, expecting me to play big on Lear, then I'm going to be able to win with Murray. And again, that'll put me in a pretty good position. She did not go as far in, or Oderlu to 91, she or he did not go as far in as I had expected, which is, you know, a little bit of a bummer, but I'm still doing okay here. Overall, I've got 5. We've got 5 life gap right now. We've prevented the round 1 poison from Freaks, which is very important. And so my thought right now is basically just go all in with Lear. You know, if I can win this round, that's pretty much game. There's nothing that they can do. What I'm expecting here is they're probably not going to throw Dave, because it would make no sense to throw such a bad card against Dave. I want to throw it now instead of later, because Arturo only has -2 opponent power right now instead of 3, so it's only going to reduce me to 5 if he throws Arturo. And Matryoshka, overall, probably not going to throw a whole lot of pills on Matryoshka as well. But Matryoshka may think that she can get an advantage with just a few pills against Lear Barda, because she'll cancel my -8 op attack. And so it kind of leaves the opponent feeling like he's got the upper hand, probably not assuming for me to go all in on rounds 1 and 2. And so here we see Lear Barda win. Again, I played a lot of pills, though, and so this puts me in a bit of a situation right now. One of the things I did not take into account, again, is the fact that Lear Barda's heal is still in effect. I always forget that I actually have that extra heal coming to me later on in the match. So, ultimately, right now, what I need to do is find the best kind of setup against Dave and Arturo. So, if he plays Dave, then if I play Oxo, then that only gives him 1. But it means that Dave will need 1 pill. Okay, so Dave will need 1 extra pill. Then, if he goes Arturo, even if I play Leopold first, Arturo is going to reduce my Leopold. He doesn't have to play anything extra, which means that he can Fury on both Arturo and Dave, which means that with both Arturo and Dave, that's going to be 5 plus 1 is 6, with 4 more is going to be 10, and 10 is going to be not quite enough to beat me. However, I was hoping to kind of catch him off guard here, because he's played Arturo first, which means that if I play Oxo, even though Dave will get that extra +2, it means that he will not be able to Fury on both of his cards. And I might actually catch Arturo in trouble, because Arturo is expecting to be able to pull Leopold under his minimum amount, because he's expecting Leopold to come against him, because Dave is against Oxo as kind of the normal expected matchup. So I'm hoping to catch him off guard with Oxo, but even if I don't, basically Dave's going to do 2 more damage, but Arturo is going to go ahead and lose the ability, or one of his characters is going to lose the ability to Fury, which means it's going to average out to about 10 either way. So ultimately right now it doesn't really matter which card that I play, as long as I play a card before time runs out. So I decided to see if I can catch him off guard with Oxo. It really didn't matter. I did not. He expected kind of the extra play. And so as a result, he's going to go ahead and get that extra damage in with Dave. He's not going to be able to Fury, though, so he's going to have his 3. He's going to have to play 1 more pill as well just to beat my Leopold, but again, he's only going to be able to do 3 damage, and no matter what, in addition to Lear Barda's +1 heal, I've won this match as well. And so because he thought that I was trying to kind of... This is one of the interesting things about ELO right now, is that actually playing the most obvious card with the most pills sometimes actually does win it for you when you're playing ELO T1 style, because people don't expect you to do that. They're kind of expecting you to try and be tricky, because that's the way that most people play. And so here we have 1 more battle won, so we ended up going 4-1 overall. ELO score, as you can see right there, is 1,058. That finishes up the 5 matches. Overall, I'm very pleased with how everything went. Hopefully it's interesting for you to listen to what I was thinking as all of these things were going on. And yeah, so Thanks again for watching. I hope you enjoyed the ELO matches, and I hope you enjoyed the commentary, because this is the second time that I am doing it. And again, if you like this video, then please feel free to like it, favorite it, and share it. And don't forget to subscribe for more of my Urban Rivals videos. This is Xonia, and you have been in the zone.